the merchant of Baghdad.
Long ago in the city of Baghdad, there lived a merchant called Ali Sandos. His business often required him to leave Baghdad. Traveling was hard and it took much longer then than it does now. Before he left, Ali sold everything he owned and rented out his house. Finally, he found a place to hide his life savings. He put 1,000 gold coins in a large jar. He covered the coins with olives. Then he took the jar to his friend Salman, who was also a merchant, and said,
"In a few days I plan to depart on my journey. Could you take this jar of olives and keep it for me until I return?"
"Yes, no problem,"
said Salman.
"Take this key and put your jar anywhere in my warehouse."
Ali's journey took him much longer than he expected. He traveled very far and did not return to Baghdad for 7 years. Salman didn't think of Ali or his jar until one evening when he was having dinner with his family. Salman's wife said, "I wish we had some olives. They would taste nice with our bread and cheese."
"Actually, we have some olives in the warehouse,"
said Salman.
"Remember that jar of olives Ali Sandos left 7 years ago? I heard that he went to Egypt, but he hasn't returned. I think we may go ahead and eat the olives, if they are still good. I will get them."
"Please don't," said his wife. "You would be breaking your promise. Besides, the olives cannot be good. Also, if Ali returns and finds that the jar has been opened, what would become of your honor?" "I don't think we should have any." After supper, without his wife knowing, Salman went to the warehouse.
"The olives at the top are moldy."
Salman noticed.
"I wonder if the olives at the bottom are moldy too."
He poured the olives out of the jar, and some of the gold coins fell out. He was shocked. The merchant was a greedy man, so the next morning he went and bought some fresh olives. He secretly emptied the jar of both the old moldy olives and the gold. He then filled the jar with new olives and put it where Ali had left it. About a month later, Ali returned to Baghdad and he went to see his friend Salman. Salman greeted his friend when he saw Ali.
"We are so happy to see you, Ali. Everyone thought you were dead."
After tea, Ali took his jar from the warehouse and went home. When he got home, he dug his hand down into the bottom of the jar. But there was no gold. He thought he was mistaken, so he poured out all the olives. The gold was gone. Ali stared at the olives on the ground and shouted,
"I am ruined!"
Ali was very upset. His friend had stolen his gold, so he wrote a letter to the Caliph asking him to judge the case. The Caliph read Ali's letter, and he decided to hear Ali's complaint. He told an officer to notify Ali and Salman to come to the palace the next day. The night before the hearing, the Caliph and his advisor went for a walk, disguised as 2 old men. As they walked down the street, the Caliph heard a noise. He stopped to see what it was, and through an arch, he saw some children playing in the moonlight. One of the children said, "Let's play courtroom." The problem between Ali and Salman had become well known in Baghdad, and the children quickly took parts. One child pretended to be the Caliph, another Ali, and another Salman. The child playing the Caliph asked the tiny Ali to speak. The tiny Ali explained his problem. The pretend caliph then turned to Salman and asked him why he did not return the money. The child playing the part of Ali Santos shouted and said that Salman was a liar.
"Not so fast,"
said the pretend caliph.
"Before you accuse someone of lying, I would like to see the jar of olives."
The child playing the part of Ali bowed low, walked away, and returned with a jar. The tiny caliph asked the small Ali to open the jar. The tiny caliph then looked into the jar and said,
"They are fine olives. Let me taste one."
He pretended to eat one and continued,
"They are excellent, but olives can't be kept for 7 years and be so good. Let us call some olive merchants. I want to hear their opinions."
2 boys dressed as merchants bowed to the tiny caliph. The tiny caliph then asked,
"How long will olives keep?" "Sir,"
replied the 2 merchants,
"olives can only be kept for 3 years. After that, they have no taste and no color." "Then how old are those olives?"
asked the tiny caliph. The 2 merchants pretended to examine and to taste the olives and told the judge that they were new and good.
"But,"
said the tiny caliph,
"Ali himself said he put them into the jar 7 years ago." "Sir,"
replied the merchants,
"they are new olives, and any olive merchant in Baghdad will say the same."
The tiny caliph pointed a finger at Salman and said,
"You are the liar."
The real caliph was very pleased with the young caliph's wisdom. He looked at his advisor and said,
"Bring the boy to me tomorrow. Also remind the real Ali Santos to bring his jar of olives. And bring an olive merchant as well."
The caliph looked at the 2 men and said,
"Today this boy will judge your case. He will tell me which one of you is lying."
The boy listened to both men, and he had Ali bring the jar of olives. After tasting the olives, the boy asked the olive merchant,
"Are they good?"
"Yes,"
replied the olive merchant.
"they are new olives."
The boy looked at Salman and said,
"You are a liar. These olives are new. You have stolen Ali's gold."
Then Salman told the truth and the gold was returned. Ali was very happy and he thanked the boy. When everyone had left, the caliph turned to the boy and hugged him.
"You have done very well. Take this purse. It is your reward."
The boy left with a purse filled with gold.